Howdy and welcome to episode 2 of Tales of the Meta. My name's Michael Lemke.
Justin Shaft.
And we're excited today. I am a puppy enthusiast, and Shaft plays professionally. He's topped a couple tournaments, whatever. You know him by now. But today we are going to talk about a whole bunch of decks. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to talk about a bunch of winners decks. We're going to talk about a couple of off-meta decks, some off-meta picks. We're going to highlight a bunch of cards. I think Shaft's really excited about a couple decks.
Yeah, last week we kind of revolved the whole episode around Green Steel. I think we had a week of tournaments. We had a bunch of results from a bunch of big tournaments going around. We're going to talk about what we think the meta now revolves around.
Yeah, and I think Green Steel, not as high showings as we thought it was going to be. I think people kind of played into it.
I think people are afraid of playing Green Steel a little bit.
I think
it's
so.
a hard deck to pilot. It's kind of expensive. I think people just kind of a little bit afraid of it.
I think so. If Green Steel was not the boogeyman this week, what did you think was?
I think the best example of that would be Kurt Spice's deck. A member of World Class Cards. He played Amber Steel. A bunch of new cards in this deck. Both the Rhinos, Lady. I think this is the deck to beat going forward.
This did win the Inc. So he got first place with this deck. He went 8-0-2, which is just wild.
All weekend.
No,
Crazy.
he didn't.
Yeah.
He lost a couple games. I think people were just able to out aggro him or kind of control him a little bit. But
yeah, this deck's a lot better on the play for sure.
It is.
Being able to go Daisy into Piglet or whatever, super insane.
Yeah, I think we highlighted it last week, and it kind of came to fruition. Something that you said was this Rhino.
Yeah, Rhino was a pillar of the format for sure.
So why? Why is Rhino such a big deal?
Well, the Resist 2 is absolutely insane. I think that card kind of is going to warp the meta.
Is there anything else of this deck that you really like?
Yeah, I think the number one interesting thing is 4 Calhouns. A lot of people probably highlight the Rapunzel's Towers, but those work in conjunction together. Having a 3/5 Calhoun is a monster. The card's going to be super hard to answer. It's kind of showing his respect for this deck, I think, playing 4 Calhouns.
You kind of alluded to it with Calhoun, but I think Rapunzel's Tower is something that kind of creeps back into the meta every now and then, and I think with Kurt bringing it to this deck, I think it is going to come back in the meta. What do you think?
Yeah, Kurt topped with this in his top 16 at Nationals. He was playing a couple of Rapunzel's Towers and that, and just hearing him talk about exactly why he played it, it's super good against the steel decks, right? All this damage-based removal, having a couple more characters that have resist, having the Rhinos that's 4/6 is absolutely insane, right? How are you going to kill that card? Then your Rapunzels just get better.
And I think it only costs 2. It only costs 1 to bring something there, right. And then it has 8 willpower. So it's just hard to kill. There's almost nothing that really kills it in one turn.
No, against the decks you're going to be playing it against, this card's basically just going to exist the entire time. Daisies and Piglets aren't just going to go into this.
And it doesn't quest, which you think would kind of not be a good thing, but I think it is a good thing in this case because you're not in a hurry to get rid of it.
Yeah,
right?
It doesn't gain lore, but it also allows you to move things off of your mines as well.
Yep, so we do have Mine here. So Mine is, you see Mine, you want to get rid of Mine.
Right.
Right, like you want to get it off the field. Rapunzel's Tower is kind of not as prevalent, right? Like you don't really need to get rid of it right away.
Yeah, absolutely. Mine creates a lot of weird board states where you're able to actually deal damage to characters. They think they win. They play a Pete and a Piglet. They're at 16. They think they just win the game. Mine has a lot of utility in this format. I think it's a really good choice going forward. I think this is going to be the deck to beat. I think Kurt's deck is the deck to beat going forward. If you don't have play against this deck, you're going to have tough time in the tournament. I think if you're playing a 9-round tournament like CCS this weekend, you're going to be playing against this deck 4 or 5 times.
I would agree. I think that this deck, it's just been a staple throughout, all of Lorcana's history. There's always been an Amber Steel deck, and I think that this one is just, it just flies straight with the 4 docks, 4 Rapunzels. It has the draw power that it needs.
What do you think about him cutting Lawrence from this deck? I think it just goes to show how aggressive he's trying to be.
I really like this deck. I really like Rapunzel over Lawrence.
Yeah, with Tower, the Rapunzels are just so much better. Rapunzel's you can't cut it from this deck in particular, different than what Wojciech did last week.
And I think a lot of people aren't really running Zeus as much. Right?
No, yeah,
Zeus, that
right?
Rapunzel is just going to stick.
I think we're going to start seeing some Zeus's come back into the format. I think we're going to see some Vanessas, maybe some Troubadours in these decks, maybe play a couple Zeuses. Just for the mirror, like I said, people targeting this exact deck.
And I think some people are going to do a little variation maybe where they don't really have as many mines. Maybe they go a couple singers. I don't know what the answer is, what people are going to do.
Well, Happy is good against Green Steel, right?
That is true.
As the metagame continues to shift, I think maybe we will see a different different lists. But right now, this deck and Green Steel, I think, were the two pillars of the format. Let's go into a Green Steel deck. Dale Bolito, another member of World Class Cards, took down a 41-player 1.5K up in Toronto. The biggest omission in this deck, I think, is Hypnotize being gone.
This one has been a staple with any Prince John, any kind of Emerald discard deck, and it's not there.
Just like we see, like the Calhouns were out of the meta for a little while. Now we're seeing people cutting Hypnotize, a card that was basically uncuttable for a very long time. Just doesn't play to the board. And right now, the first couple turns of the game is all about the board. If you're falling behind on board, you're not catching up.
Which surprises me a little bit, why it's cut in this deck, because it was such a good Ursula kind of deterrent, right? So like Ursula couldn't rip it from your hand if you did want to try to shift that Diablo later, or if you were just trying to discard. So it kind of surprises me that it's not there, but there's just so many big targets that I kind of like it for this deck.
Yeah, I don't know. I like cutting the Hypnotizes just because you're playing, like I said, to the board so much. He's playing Tinkerbells in this list, which we haven't seen in forever. I know that's Dale's signature card.
Yeah.
But those Tinkerbells off the morphs are going to create crazy blowouts.
That's the other thing. I saw a lot of people playing 3 morphs, so he's up to 4 morphs with all of those shift targets. I just can't see why you wouldn't play 4 morphs, so morph back.
Yeah, Basil too. Basil super interesting. Kind of, again, one of his signature cards, kind of having this whole morph package. Remnants of the old Yu-Gi-Oh days. Definitely Dale playing this toolbox of things that the morph can morph into. And
then surprising again coming out is the Pluto.
Once again, like having to play to the board the first couple turns kind of limits your card choices, and just playing a 5/5 on 4 can be very powerful. Speaking of a 5/5 on 4,
Scrooge McDuck. So this is kind of an old card. What, set 5?
Yeah.
It's uninkable and does nothing, which is why no one's ever played it. But 5/5 on
this.
4.
You are obviously not on the
I'm just
Lorcanito
messing
ladder.
with you. I'm just messing with you. Well, you can't say that here. We're gonna have to cut that. No, we're not gonna. We'll leave it in. No, I mean people have been playing this forever. It's just been interesting to me that an uninkable kind of vanilla makes it in the meta, which is kind of fun.
Well, Rhino is a 4/5 basically, and just being able to eat Rhino is such a huge deal in this meta. Let's take a look at it. Did well this weekend with Scrooge McDuck.
So this got 4th place in a 286-player tournament with 3 Scrooge McDucks. Really like that card. I mean, the 5/5 you were talking about it. So what else about this deck? What do you like about it?
Yeah, 286 players getting 4th place is no small feat. That's like a mini DLC. Playing Palace Guards, playing Monster.
Yeah, and Palace Guard, you mentioned that. I mean, it's a 1/4 with Vanish, right? It is an illusion. But a 1/4, I mean, that's essentially an inkable daisy.
But you can just see how many choices they're making towards playing towards the board.
Oh, yeah.
Against these, like, yellow steel, aggro decks, whatever we're calling them. Going Tipo on turn 2 into a Genie just is not going to cut it. You're going to die. You have to play a 5/5, whether it's Iago, whether it's Scrooge. You have to play this big dude that's going to kill daisies, that's going to be able to challenge these ladies that they're putting on the board. Gone are the days of being able to play Genie and feel good about it.
Right, yeah, and which that used to be the move, right? You just go 1, any of the 1-drops, 2, Tipo, 3, Genie. And I think Blurple's seeing Bell back in the meta, right? We're seeing Bell back in it. And then something I want to talk about is the Shift Bell. So people are starting to play that more, especially with these kind of resist characters, these Rhinos, right? Like you move damage counters,
right?
Which is one of the ways around resist, right? So you can, if it's something has 1 damage counter, you can move that 1 onto Rhino,
yep.
And the resist doesn't stop it, which is kind of
again,
cool.
Scrooge kind of just comboing with the Bell, being a big body that you could hold this damage and then move it. Do you know what's the same about all these 3 decks that we've looked at now? Each of them have had a 3/3 or a 2/2 that you're able to play on 1, a Singer for 3 that you're able to play on turn 1. Just doing something huge like that on the board is absolute.
I think you've been talking about it the whole time, which is kind of what I'm picking up what you're putting down on this. Is that early game pressure kind of just sets you up
Bell,
for
Diablo,
longevity.
and Cindy are the 3 cards that are absolutely cracked right now, and I think majority of the time those are the cards you want to be playing.
That's true. I mean those are the 3 cards. I mean, those are the cards that you want to be playing right now in the meta. And so with that, you do have to have answers for it.
Absolutely.
Right? So what do you think are some good kind of later game answers? Do you have any cards?
Well, there's this list, and then there's other lists you could look at.
So this is the other Blurple deck. It got, 3rd place out of 113 players, a little 5K?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Not a little 5K. That's a big 5K. I like that. Yeah. But this one really kind of plays for the later game a little bit with having still some early pressure with Fox, but this big Ana, a shift 4, but it's a 3/6 that quests for 2 with support, so you can really just buff something else. But then also if you have Elsa, if you're playing Blurple, you definitely want to have an Elsa on board. You get to draw a card. So if it quests with Elsa on board, you get to draw a card, which is really cool.
Yeah, it just allows you to be proactive, right? You're able to play the Kita on 4, kind of just like use all these cards now with Finders Keepers. You're forcing the yellow steel deck kind of to have to deal with your threats. Hopefully, you're able to. If you're able to stabilize the game, you're going to win the game. If you're able to like play this Ana, you're able to play the Kita. You're going to have enough cards that you're going to be able to run away with the game.
So you've talked about it a little bit. Let me pull up Kita.
The biggest keyword on this card is Ward. Having Ward, having this 3/3, you're able to play on turn 3 most of the time. Being able to challenge their ladies, whatever, and there's nothing they can do about it. They can't kill it. If you're on the play, you're able to normally exert it to get another ink into your inkwell, kind of manipulate the top of your deck, so you're drawing the best card out of those 2 cards the next turn. So you're able to put a Fox on top, whatever it is, to kind of lose the tempo that you're using by your 4-drop just turning sideways. This card's cracked, I think. It's actually very good going forward. I'll be interested to see how these Blurple decks look in the next couple months.
So I think one thing that this card really does it does a phenomenal job of on any of these kind of other decks is that it stops the pressure, right? Like it plays a little bit of defense. Like you can't just quest away against a 3/3. Like you kind of have to hold your horde. You have to think about it a little more methodically. And then this one does the other thing that once you stop them and you're a little defensive, then it's going to start ramping. And now you're like, okay, well, this is great. Now I'm going to get to all my cards that I really want to get to, the big ones.
The thing about the Ana and this Kita is they punish board stalls.
Yep.
The opponent can't just like keep all their things up, and the only answer you have is Elsa or Hades. If they kind of sit there and do nothing, you're punishing them. You're being proactive, which is something that Blurple has had an issue with in the past.
Yeah, I think that that's why this card makes a lot of sense right now. Because you're right. I mean, we talked about it last week. The answer to Blurple is just to go as wide as possible. Right. And if you can kind of say, okay, well, I have a Kita that's just going to hang out there. Like, you can't do anything about it because of Ward. Okay, like, what are you going to, like, you can't just quest all of your stuff. You can't quest your daisies. You can't quest your ladies, especially. You can't quest your piglets because they just die. And then, most likely you're going to have a popsicle to heal us up. You're going to be able to, if they just don't do anything, then you got a free ramp.
This used to have one of the better matchups against the Amber Seal aggro decks, but now that it's a turn faster with all the new additions of the Rhinos and ladies, I'm not sure. I don't know if this deck can cooperate and can actually get on the board fast enough. I have another card that I think might start making these decks, Rafiki. It's a 1/4 with Rush, 4-cost uninkable. Whenever you play this character, it gets Challenger 4.
So that 5, that threshold you were talking about earlier with Scrooge, that seems to be a theme here. Cost 4, can potentially have 5 attack. You're killing Rhino.
Yep, it quests for 2. Yeah. It'll get some damage. I think sometimes they're going to leave this card alone, and then Vel's going to be able to move damage off of it a lot of the times. I think this card might be interesting. Just another one of those things like Scrooge that the Blurple deck might have to look at being a little bit lower to the ground than they used to.
It's going to need a quicker answer that just the Elsa is not providing. Right? Yeah, the Elsa's only 2 attack, and it really needs something with a lot more.
I could definitely see less genies going forward, kind of moving towards Finders Keepers and the Kita versions, and then just having like Rafiki's on 4, Iago's on 4, really just leaning into clearing the board and then stabilizing, then Finders Keepering the way game.
I've been seeing a lot of 4 Finders Keepers lists, which has been a little bit surprising to me because to take a whole turn essentially and kind of retool, you have to have stalled the board somehow.
Yeah, so we talked about Beyond the Horizon last week. That kind of Finders Keepers is going to be in a low spot. I think I was wrong. I think the Kita and a lot of these new tools kind of changed the way. Not new tools necessarily, but.
So I think you were right in your thinking. However, I think the outcome was kind of the opposite, right? So it does become less valuable, but that's why you need 4, is because when you need it, you need it. And so you kind of have to always be able to see it, which is why people are playing 4, and they have to be okay getting rid of 1. Whereas if you were playing 2 or 3 and you have to discard a Finders Keepers, like that just feels bad.
Sure.
Yeah. So I think kind of you were on the right track.
Thanks, man.
Don't be too hard, right? Until he talks about puppies, then he's going to be all wrong. Right? We'll talk about puppies eventually, right?
Hopefully not.
Yeah, we will.
Let's look at the Green-Purple that won a big tournament, right?
Green-Purple did win a big tournament. So this one was, Ludafest. It went 11-3 and got first place, which is, I mean, I've been seeing a lot of these decks, but I haven't seen
There was a lot
too
of
many of them
players in this
top.
tournament, right?
There were. I don't remember exactly how many. I think it was.
Okay. But he played 14 rounds, so it's got to be a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of players. I think the top 2 were both Emerald Amethyst.
Yeah, it was a green purple. But we know over in Europe they're crazy about their green purple over
They
there.
are. They love it. So what stands out to you about this deck?
Going through it, it calls to me as the first thing that jumps out.
It
right?
calls to me. This is a set 3 card that I had to look it up to see what it did. Did you? I mean,
I thought it was like your own graveyard. I didn't know it was
Yeah.
your opponent's graveyard. This card is actually not bad.
so I think that's what kind of this was one of those stall tactics, I guess, right? So if someone's putting their popsicles in their discard pile. If they're doing actions for Maui Shark, this just kind of gets rid of them. It only costs 1. They only had 1 of them, and you get to draw a card.
Yeah, I wish this deck had a couple of muses. When I saw this card in the deck list, I was super excited to see like the muses and stuff, and I was like, wow, this card's actually really good. But yeah, no muses.
Nope. But it does have a couple other cards that I know everybody's talking right now. Pull the lever and wrong lever. So I think that those were really going wild this weekend. You get to draw 2 cards, or you get to make your opponent discard.
Yeah, it can either be a sudden chill or a friends on the other side, but it's not a song, so it is a little bit worse. But there is a combo. Wrong lever. We know in Lorcana that there's not much great removal, but wrong lever can be.
Oh yeah, because it takes something from your discard, pull the lever. So the pull the lever has to be in your discard. You put it on the bottom of your deck, and then you get to put the chosen character of your opponent on the bottom of their deck.
Yep. It was one of the biggest issues with green purple specifically was they didn't have a bunch of good actions to play to make Diablo good. You were having to play like a bunch of Mother Knows Best and cards like that in your deck to just enable the Diablo. But now there's quite a few choices. The Diablos are much better in these decks now.
And I think this deck really, with the wrong lever, pull the lever kind of combo, it added some of those just board removals, right? So your Maui Shark answer, your Tomato, anything that you were just like, okay, like I got to get rid of that, right?
Yeah.
That it really added 2 more of that, which I think this deck really needed. So Emerald Amethyst has kind of been a deck that's been around for a while and kind of making a little bit of a resurgence. There was another deck that I saw that I want to talk about because other than puppies, my first love really deck was Red Fossa. So I do have a Red Fossa deck that I want to talk about that was really interesting. It got top 8 at Ink Inc. Went 6-2, which is really good.
Not only is this Mufasa deck top 8 in tournaments, but with the Worlds format coming up, this ink combination can be kind of interesting. Being able to play green steel, blurple, and then a yellow-red combination, you're able to kind of make some decks that we've already talked about fit into the Worlds format.
Yeah, I think we wanted to talk about Worlds format, but we didn't have all the deck lists from WCC, which I think we really need to talk about it because there was this color combination was running rampant. I mean, everyone was just saying that this color combo was one of those that if you get to go first and you can get the right draws, like you can't beat it, right? I think one of the big things for me was the Goofy. This new Goofy, I think it did really well because that deck used to always stall out a little bit and you couldn't get right over the hump to 17, 18, 19, 20. And this card gets you there.
This makes your Mother Gothels much better too, right? If you're able to like quest with your Mother Gothels every turn, then ready them, it's kind of crazy. You'll be able to get 1 or 2 more lore that you were missing out on in the games that you normally wouldn't have.
This deck always used to kind of skip the 4 spot. So you would have either Doc or Gaston in the 3, and so you'd skip 4 and you'd either go to 5 or 6. But with this deck getting a good 4-drop character, I think that it's really going to kind of take hold, and I think people are going to be doing really well with it. And one thing that this deck kind of has that not a lot of other decks, some decks do, is that this one has hardcore fans. I mean, this one just has people that have been playing this color combo since the beginning.
Well, this deck is good against the aggro decks, right?
And that's the other part of it. It just kind of eats those aggro decks up because it just has so much willpower.
Does it really have a good answer to Diablo though? How does it deal with Diablo?
So the teeth and ambitions is kind of the answer. Or if you go 3 Gaston and then on 4 you can go Medusa.
Okay.
So Medusa is kind of one of those answers. I think just one of the other answers, to be honest with you, is just to try to outpace it.
Okay.
Just say, okay, you have Diablo, I'm just gonna go.
Okay.
I'm just gonna run for it and see if we can get there. Mulan, if you can shift a Mulan.
Yeah, and they play into it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Which I mean, once you get to the higher levels, they really shouldn't be. But sometimes you can
But they have
force
to turn
them,
their
right?
stuff
Yeah.
sideways,
I mean,
right?
you have to
Yeah.
force them to do it. And then the Rhea is back in,
Yeah.
which has really been good. I've seen a lot of people use it really well. Just a lot of, high beefy cards.
Just one of the
Maleficent
best
Dragon.
Rapunzel decks too in general, right? Because you have another Gothel and
Yeah, I mean, Gaston 3, and then Gothel, Rapunzel, turn 4. I mean, you can play them both with 6. Yeah, I mean, it's a really good deck. With all these higher cost characters, one interesting fact that I think that this deck utilizes is Medusa, or one card that they utilize is Medusa, which I do find interesting because I think there's some other decks that really used to lean heavy on Medusa as the Diablo kind of deterrent that aren't anymore. And so I think that you saw one this weekend.
this is kind of a different variation of the DKP list that we've seen in the past. But again, it's really choosing. He's been cutting brawls. We've seen DKP cutting brawls and goofs, kind of playing with those like 8 to 10 cards that you could play. All of the cards are kind of focused on going low to the ground again. Because of, I think, the boogeyman that we've talked about is Kurt's deck. So playing the goofies, playing the brawls, playing this new Lilo. If you haven't seen it, it's a 4/4 for 5. Inkable. During your turn, if you played 3 or more actions, you can play this card for free.
Right, because you play your develops, you play your sales, you play your visions, right? And then once you get to 3, you just get to throw this 5 cost down for free.
Right, and obviously you don't have to have this card in your hand at the beginning of the turn, so a lot of the times you won't have any gas in your hand. You'll be able to go like develop into vision, now finding this Lilo, now being able to play it for free. Kind of on those turns where you would have been basically doing nothing, spinning your wheels, maybe with a shark in play, you're able to put this other body on board to kind of threaten more lore, threaten to stop whatever they're doing on turn 4. Your turn 4, normally you go sail into how far I'll go, and then sometimes you don't have anything else to play on that turn if you don't have a shark. So being able to play this Lilo, stabilizing boards is kind of, I think, okay. I wouldn't choose it. We actually have pulled up here what I would play this weekend if I was going to CCS, which again is very similar choices, just a card different here or there. But one of the cards I want to talk about is Mulan. Mulan, similar to a lot of the cards that we've talked about in the past, talking about Rafiki, talking about all these other cards. Mulan just being able to come down, eat a daisy, eat a
lady, yep.
then heal it with Popsicle. You're able to kind of just one-man wrecking crew these aggressive decks boards. I think is very important right now.
So I think something that you've kind of touched on, and a lot of these characters that you've kind of pointed out have been your 4-cost characters. I think that when you're talking about these decks is kind
the
of
blue decks especially, right?
the moment to take over, right? It's the moment to either say, stop what you're doing, and I'm going to try to like take control of the game or take control of the board, or you're going to ramp more or whatever, right? But you do have all these 4-cost characters that I think is kind of the spot that people are playing with a little bit. It
used to be Hero, right?
Yes,
that
of
spot
course.
Used to be Hero.
Yep, and so that one was just taken, right? Like it was.
But
done.
even now, you wouldn't be able to Popsicle into Sail into Hiram anymore. These decks again are too fast. You have to have
True.
something, in my opinion. Goofy kind of has been the thing that we've been using, but now with all these yellow characters, I think Mulan's the way to go. Of course, this deck is much better because it fits on 2 lines too.
2 lines that just makes your heart happy, right?
Yep.
You know what makes my heart happy? It's big tournaments that I get to play puppies at. No, I'm not yet. But if I was going to CCS this weekend, I think I would play puppies. Don't you?
No, I don't think I would.
You would? You
No,
would? Yes,
no, I
yes.
don't think
See, Shaft. Oh, so I'm going to go to a tournament here, a big tournament here soon. I don't know which one yet, but I will play puppies there. This would be my puppy list. Guys, I said it. I talked about it last week, and Shaft is not going to have a choice. I'm going to shut him down. He's just. Can I turn off his mic? Is that? No. Okay, I won't do that. But Roly is a card that I'm very high on. I love it. Any thoughts? We don't care what you think, Shaft, because you're not the puppy expert.
The worst thing about this deck is that it's going to
Roly.
be hit by the deck that we've been talking about. It's weak to all the same things.
I think there's a little disagree. So the 8-drop puppy 2/3, that's great against your Cinderellas. Patch with Ward, great against Cinderella. Your Ludwig, great against your steel decks. So I think there's a lot of potential. I teched this one recently with a lot more Ward. So I mean your Alice, your Wendy, and then Let It Go versus World's Greatest Criminal Mind. I kind of like World's Greatest Criminal Mind, especially with some support that there's in there. Roly is a card that I love, so you to put something from your discard into your Inkwell. And then I also have Pongo on the other side of it, so you can go from 4 6 to play Pongo to put whatever role he put in your Inkwell out on the field for free. So I know Chef loves this deck. He has one point that he wanted me to make. He really asked me. I know his eyes were asking me that he wanted to make a point. What was your point?
Well, I've got 100 different things I could say about this deck, but
Just
the
one.
thing that I hate the most is that Daisy is in this deck. Is it a ramp deck? Is it a Daisy deck? You can't be both. You could be one. You can't be both.
Surely you can.
Oh, okay.
So, Daisy. I mean, Daisy and Patch. If you're going Daisy into Sail into Patch, that's just fun, right? You get both of them out there.
For fun, maybe.
Yeah, you can get a whole bunch of questing. So we alluded to it earlier. This weekend, CCS. It is going to be a great time.
Yeah, super exciting. We're probably going to see most of all the best players in the world playing at this tournament. I think even though we have Worlds in a couple weeks, I still think these guys are going to come out and get their reps. This is a great tournament. I think last time it was like 250 people or something, which is gigantic.
I wish I could. I would take the PUBG tech for real. But this one is going to be a lot of fun. I don't think that there's going to be people that are holding back too much. I think you're right. I think the Worlds people are going to be trying to test just a little bit.
The thing is, the Worlds format and the
It's
CCS
completely
single deck
different.
is just totally night and day.
But I think it's a good place to test, right? To see kind of what do we think our best deck is. There is also the Pro Player Summit, the PPG. I know this one's a 15K for Lorcana, but it also includes One Piece Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, 15K on Saturday. I think there's a 5K on Friday or something like that.
think
It's
that's
super,
right.
super huge.
It's gonna be it's gonna be a whole bunch of fun. It's gonna be big.
Dallas, Texas.
Dallas.
Yep.
It's gonna be a good time. I hope I'm gonna make it. I haven't finalized any plans yet, but I hope so. If I do, I'm gonna take puppies. I'm gonna take puppies. I'll take puppies. I need a puppy map before I go. Maybe can I get some puppy ears? No,
You just not go, I guess, if you don't want to play.
I guess not. What? He just doesn't want me to go, and he doesn't want to lose puppies. So
I just want to see my friends do well.
that's true.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds
That's what
like
I always say.
that's what you always say about someone else. So, with the PPG, there is also the qualifiers. So these are all the qualifiers that are this weekend, the 14th and the 15th. They are all over the country. You have the one in Colorado, Utah, Pennsylvania, Arizona, North Richland Hills, which is Dallas, and Palo Alto, California.
I didn't know where any of those places were, but luckily the states are right there, so I can kind of tell.
Yep, I really glad I don't think they did when they first did it. Maybe they did, and I just didn't see it. Where they had like the addresses, so you could see exactly where they were. Because I kept going down the map and being like, okay, so it's this one. All right, I gotta scroll up, go find it. But we're in Texas. We're actually at a shop in Houston, Omega. Love the
Omega
shop.
Gaming, thanks for
Omega
letting
Gaming.
us use your space.
This is awesome. They've let us use our space twice now, which is really cool. But so we're not too. I mean, we're like 5 hours from North Richland Hills. But I don't think a last-minute trip there. I'd rather go to CCS.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the qualifiers, I think there's going to be one in Austin. Game Castle is going to have their qualifier the 21st. And then they're doing something really cool, which is the Worlds Weekend.
I think that's awesome, yeah.
Yep. So they're going to have tournaments. They're going to have it on the TV, watch party.
Are they doing Worlds format for the tournament, or is it just a normal single deck?
I'll be honest, I don't know.
Oh, great.
That'd be cool if they did the Worlds format. But that seems like a lot.
I think it would say on this if it was the Worlds format. I
It
think
probably
single deck
would.
for the majority of people is better.
Yeah,
anyways.
I think we can dive into it just a little bit. The Worlds format. This was the first time that I'd really seen it in action. At the World Class Cards tournament, which thanks guys for hosting. That was awesome. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, it seemed like a really great format. It seemed really in depth. I'm super excited for Worlds.
It seemed so fun for the viewer because we got to see a whole bunch of different decks. We got to see a racer deck, for real, not someone that was just joking, taking that was a real thought. Was the racer deck was a real thing. We got to see that as a viewer. We also just got to see. I mean, you have to win with each of your decks.
Right. You
Which
only
is
have
so
to win
cool.
one game with each of your decks.
Yep.
So if you have one matchup against one deck, that's fine. I hope that they get away kind of just from banning steel auto.
Yep.
Even though it seems like that's the baseline thing to do. We'll see what they.
I want to see a strategy not based on banning steel.
Yeah.
So if you have a ward strategy, a resist strategy, something where you're just gonna eat steel alive, right? I mean, we talked about it last week that Emerald Steel, if you want to beat it,
You can beat it.
it's not rocket science,
Yeah.
right? And so I think the Worlds format, I'm super excited for. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to talk about it. I'm excited to try it out. I have almost all the cards, I think, so I think I can do almost like that. But of course, I would want a puppy deck in there. It is what it is. Sorry, Shaft. I told you puppy deck. So puppy deck, ruby amethyst and green steel. That's what it will be. That's the winning format.
Is it?
No, everyone likes Blurple and Mufasa or Amber Ruby.
Yeah,
but
it'd be super interesting to see.
Sweet.
Thanks, guys.
That's all I got. Hey, like, comment below, see what decks you want us to play or want us to show you next. I think last week I saw a broom deck, so I think we might do a broom and puppy episode sometime if I can ever convince Shaft.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a broom deck going to CCS this weekend. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Brooms. But Tales of the Meta, like, follow, subscribe. Send it to everybody that loves Lorcana, and thank you for tuning in.
Thank
Michael
you guys.
Lemke, Justin Shaft. See you guys.